Hey guys, this week we're talking about mental health and how velocity based training might actually help the situation we're in. The purposes of this video is to give a little bit of a snapshot of mental health. We're going to look at the state, we're going to look at mental health in reference to the genders, demonstrate the impact on mental health caused by a lack of recovery, what role VBT can play in improving an athlete's mental health, and we're going to look at a real case study. There's been a major rise in depression, anxiety, and other mental health issues. I actually learned that in my the last semester of my master's class. So it was sports psychology, and this is Kessler et al. By the way, all these references will be at the end. So if you guys really love the information, or if you love it, but if you're interested in mental health, check it out and you can take a deep dive. So anyway, 16 million people suffer from clinical depression. 32 million people suffer from clinical levels of anxiety. 25% of individuals will suffer from an anxiety disorder in their lifetime. 20% will experience depression, and it's predicted that depression will become the second leading cause of death, second only cardiovascular disease. That's a problem. Why is this? There was an article for the American Psychological Association showed teens being more stressed out than adults. That's bad. You got the mobile phones, you got the laptops, you've got the tablets, wearables, social media. I mean, there's just all this stuff that doesn't allow them to, ever to unplug. And so, not to mention blue lights, lower emphasis on physical education, and a drift towards more and more and more society and just less recovery. Social media and stressed out students, new modern day social media issues. You got a fear of missing out. We've talked a little bit about that in the past, but it's where you guys feel like you can't stay off of Twitter or Facebook because you want to hear the latest. Like if you're an American, you're going to hear the latest mass shooting or something terrible, or the latest star. You got Johnny Depp who just, I guess, got off for whatever. I didn't even watch the trial, so you guys can't stay off of it. You got the bullying, the stalking, and it just never seems to stop. You got the social media envy, malicious if you're talking about nagging gossip. There's pain, resentment, feelings of inferiority. Anyway, it's sad because all that's mostly fake. You got the blue light effects on sleep, which, they try to go to bed and you can't get into the proper amounts of deep sleep and REM sleep. So, and then on top of this, you got the typical stressors like school, relationships, exams, and once again, if you're an American, mass shootings, school shootings. It's got me staying up late at night every night here in the last couple of weeks. So that's why this topic was really hit home for me. What about women? And so women are almost twice as likely to suffer from severe stress and anxiety than men. We talked about VBT in women a couple shows ago. So if you want to go back to that, you can find out. I take a deeper dive in this, but my experience and my data would agree that women tend to deal with anxiety more than men. So society unfairly places expectations on women as compared to men. Women need to look a certain way, they need to do a certain thing, say certain things. That needs to end. So women tend to be more performance minded, and we're going to find out that performance minded over process minded is not a good thing. So, effects of blue light on sleep recovery. At Gradisar et al. 2013, 9 out of 10 Americans reported the use of technology within an hour before bed, with television being the most popular. And any light is bad, but blue light is really bad. So if you're on your cell phone right before bed, which is, I'm a big culprit of that, and doing the study has really made me know that I need to put my phone down, and I shouldn't be on this computer right now, but here we are. And so they have difficulty to fall asleep, and you get non-refreshing sleep. It's linked to fatigue, depression, decreased athletic performance, but this is about mental health. Impaired communication between the immune system and the HPA axis linked to several physical and mental health issues: obesity, chronic fatigue, diabetes, and several mental disorders. Our sympathetic nervous systems are taking way too too much, and our parasympathetic nervous systems are not doing enough. So therefore, when you need your sympathetic nervous system, which is like right before a big lift or right before the big game, you don't have it, and you've been stuck in that fight or flight all the time, and you got cortisol being released all the time, and now you're fatigued. So now you can't recover. So what about VBT? I don't want you guys to think that velocity-based training is a cure-all for everything in the world, but I'd definitely like to show you how VBT helps and how I use it to help my athletes. So Ryan and Desi, 2002, state that sports psychologists agree that athletes and non-athletes alike, they need to feel competent in what they're doing. They need to feel autonomous, meaning that they have somewhat control over what's going on, and they need to feel connected with others, including you as a coach. And so when it comes to motivation, there are two main central achievement goal perspectives, and that's going to be task and ego. Task is going to be where you're focused on the process. I come in, I'm going to work on a certain part of my technique. I'm going to work on staying engaged, cheering my teammates on. Those are things I can control. Ego is saying I'm going to come in and I'm going to beat all y'all, which once in a while is a good thing. I mean, you can't be a great athlete without a little bit of that, but doing that all the time is not going to be a good idea. We'll show you why. Because you want peak performance. In a review of flow studies, this is Swan, Keegan, Biggett, and Cross 2012, they summarized what it takes to get in that flow state. So you need appropriate focus, optimal mental and physical preparation, optimal motivation, or optimal arousal. Key is optimal. Positive thoughts and emotions, confidence, positive feedback, good team play and interaction, optimal environmental and situational conditions. So, like learning to control your arousal is something we're going to talk about how VBT can help. Learning to control your motivation, having that optimal mental and physical preparation, and just having positive thoughts in general. There's a paradigm shift. What we need is right now it's performance driven. We say, hey, go in there and you hit 80% for 4 sets of 5 reps on squats, or we'll say 90% for 4x2 or whatever it is. Or max out or compete every day. Go. We need to bang each other out every single day, and that's just not going to get it. And all the studies would agree that the majority of your training needs to be process driven. So what you can do with velocity, instead of me saying do it 80% for 4 sets of 5, I can say 4 sets of 5 reps at 0.45 meters per second, somewhere between there and 0.5. Because I can always do that. Even if I'm having a down day, I can hit that. 4 sets of 2 at 0.35 to zero point 0.4. I'm going to get the intent of my athletes that I intended. But if it's not in them that day, if they're having a terrible day and their 1RM is 10% less than normal, well then they can still do that. 5 sets of 5 with the first 2 reps at 0.55 meters per second and the max velocity loss at 15%. What that's going to do is going to make sure I'm getting the hypertrophy I'm after without beating them up. So we're going to improve a specific aspect of their movement. So we're going to work on, for example, if it's a weightlifting, getting the bar back off the floor. If you're sprinting, we're going to look at maybe proper posture, keeping proper pelvis alignment. So then we're going to smile and a lot and encourage each other. So the days of negative reinforcement should be over. It's just shown it doesn't work, and more importantly, it doesn't work as well. And we're going to find out later, it leaves them not liking exercise. So open doors of communication with velocity-based training. So there's step one. We can measure readiness. We can look at 80 to 85% of the first lift. We can you can take strength movements are fairly standard. However, the Olympic lifts, you probably want to get a few weeks of data and individualize it, just because it's all dependent on height. Like a 5'7" guy doesn't have to pull it as fast as a 6'1" dude to get the same weight. So, or we can measure a hang pull. That's very standard. You can do that. And then when something is 10% or more below their norm, they're stressed out because fatigue is defined as a decrease in performance. It's a decrease in the speed of which you can do something, and it's a direct measurement of stress. So it's the way that we can know what's going on, and then two, we can have them do this subjective questionnaire. Like we can say, like in this number 5, excitement to train. If it's at a 1, meaning they're not excited at all, it's the worst day ever. Or in this whole section of non-workout related stress and or anxiety, you get a 1. The, the step 1 tells me there's a problem. Step 2 tells me what more that it probably is, and opens up a line of communication with my athletes. Let's talk about Mary. This is our case study, and obviously we changed the name to protect our athlete. Anyway, came to me with a 5. When she came to me, she would, if it said 5 rep max, she was going for a lifetime PR of 5 RM. If it was, 88% was what I prescribed her to do for 563, she was going to do that no matter what, even if it killed her. When we all know that there are days where 88% feels like 98%. It's just not going to happen. So this led to injuries, anxiety, even like trust issues and performance in competition issues. So when we switched to VBT, we stopped using all of that. We brought logic to the table because Mary's a very smart athlete. So once we made a few changes, she was able to catch right on. And so she was able to make progress. And she became process focused, meaning it was just the daily velocity. It wasn't like she was trying to beat anybody. She was trying to work to her velocity at whatever load that was. So, and it just made her smile again, man. And that's super important. And that's super important because as coaches, our job is to make the lives of our athletes better, to help them reach their goals. But more importantly, it's for when they leave us, that they leave us loving exercise, that they leave us wanting to, continue to be fit for the rest of their lives, and to stay mentally healthy for the rest of their lives, and to be physically healthy. Like I said, the depression is soon going to be the second leading cause of death. So, like, I want my athletes to leave me healthy, having a good experience, and learning to compete with a process-driven approach versus performance. Anyway, thanks for joining.